Welcome back to another installment of r/no sleep. Today, from author Late Night Landon, title, I don't think the gas station I work at is normal. I appreciate all of you out there in Masochist land. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Couldn't do it without you. Without further ado, let's get into it. I want to start this off with a simple fact that I don't believe in ghosts. At least I didn't. I'm not sure anymore. Sorry, let me give you a quick background of my situation. Have you ever found yourself making your way into a gas station at the edge of town and turned your gaze towards the sleep-deprived clerk, quietly minding his business? Well shit, you've met me. I work the overnight shift at my local gas station, sitting between abandoned, dilapidated buildings and a stretch of flourishing forests, the road between being the only connector to these two opposites of life. Now I'm sure you're probably asking, that sounds pretty sketchy. Why would you work there? I know, because I've asked myself the same thing. But the pay isn't bad, and being a broke 20-year-old didn't suit me. The owners aren't bad people, just distant. In my 3 months of working here, I've only spoken to them a handful of times. The interview process felt weird too. All I got was a phone call asking if I wanted the job and if I could work the hours. Of course I answered yes, who wouldn't? And only a few days later, I found myself at the front counter with a list of instructions and to-dos. The interior was nothing special, if I'm being honest. The shelves of overpriced candy and canned goods with a set of coolers lining the sidewall. Then there was me, sat up at my desk next to the front door with a squeaky old chair and cash register that always seemed to want to get stuck every 4 transactions. With all that being said, you would assume I hate my job, but I don't. It's extremely quiet, I only get a handful of customers a night, and they usually keep to themselves. I grew to think of the insulation as a small perk of the job. But something happened late last night. I just need someone else to hear. 1:48 a.m. Leaning back into my chair, I sat making my way through the latest book in my backlog when I heard a familiar ding come from the front door. Placing my book down, I stood up to face the man who entered the store. The best way I could describe him was the stereotypical trucker. Boots, blue jeans, Carhartt jacket, and a big beard. Yet he was clean without a single speck of dirt on him. "Evening, sir. What can I do for you?" Giving him my best, "I'm tired, just tell me what you want and leave," greeting I could muster. "Oh, nothing much. Just give me 20 on the diesel for pump 4. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out a $20 bill, handing it to me. As I entered the information onto my keypad, he spoke again. "I'd recommend you stay safe out there. I heard stories of weird things happening around here. Wouldn't want anything bad to happen." Raising my eyebrow, I glanced over at him to see if he was threatening me. But no, he just stood there waiting for me to give him the okay. I appreciate the advice, but I've never seen anything out of the ordinary over here. I'd say sources are feeding you lies. Handing him his receipt, he chuckled and made his way out of the store, and within a couple minutes he was gone. 2:08 a.m. Another ding sounded in my ears. Placing my book back down, I stood up and identified the new customer. That's when things started taking a weird turn. The same man from a half an hour ago stood in front of me. Same boots, same jeans, same jacket, same everything. However, this time his jeans were lined with small patches of dirt. As confused as I was, I decided to leave it alone and just do my job. "Evening, sir. What can I do for you?" Standing in front of my counter, I could feel his eyes digging burrows through me. Luckily, I didn't have to wait long for my answer. "Oh, nothing much. Just give me 20 on the diesel for pump 4. Handing me a $20 bill as he finished. Wanting him out as soon as possible, I quickly entered everything into my register and handed him his receipt. "I'd recommend you stay safe out there. I've heard stories of weird things happening around here. Wouldn't want anything bad to happen." Having my fair share of this guy's ominous bullshit, I decided not to encourage this conversation. "Yeah, man, I hear you." With that, he made his way out and I tried to return to my book, getting my mind off this weird customer. 2:38 a.m. Once again, the ring of the front door pulled my attention, and almost as if on cue, he was back. But something was off this time. It looked as though if he had just crawled out of a grave, with dirt and residue coating his whole body. And if that wasn't enough, he had thick cuts across his arms and face. However, no blood leaked from the gashes. I decided I'd had enough of the charade. I shouted at the man. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea, but can you blame me? Interesting encounter in this one here. Truck driver, Groundhog Day. You gotta wonder, is this guy stuck in like some kind of time loop, the gas station attendant? We'll find out. Alright, man, what the hell happened to you? This is your third time here and it looks like you took a quick detour into the local swamp. Pointing at him in fury or fear, I wasn't quite sure. I looked him dead in the eyes, but that was easily my worst mistake. His eyes were milky as if someone drowned out the color in them. Retracting my hand, I couldn't help the gulp retreating down my throat. Hell, I wish I could too. As he opened his mouth, his jaw produced a retching cracking before producing noise. Oh, nothing much. Just give me 20 on diesel for pump 4. As if robotic, he reached out, handed me another bill. I could see more cuts and bruises on his fingers. Gingerly, I reached out and snatched the bill from his hand and began to enter it into my register. My heart sank, and I felt a frigid chill crawl up my spine as I noticed the small pop-up on the screen. Pump new balance, $40. I began to sweat as my brain turned in my head, panicking. I jerked my head towards the window facing the lot. To my horror, no truck sat anywhere outside. As I started contemplating on whether I was going insane or just tired, I felt heat building on my wrist. Spinning my head back to the man, I saw him tightly gripping my wrist. However, I couldn't feel pressure of his grip. The only thing I could feel was a burning sensation that kept growing as he held my wrist. Ah, let go of my arm! What the hell do you think you... My voice lost all power as I met the horror in front of me. The man now held his face a few inches from mine. As we made eye contact, his face twisted into a horrifying smile, producing cracked teeth. I'd recommended you stay safe out there. I have heard stories of weird things happening around here. Wouldn't want you to join the rest. At this point, I was frozen in fear. My voice left me to fend for myself, as all I could do was stare at this man standing in front of me. It felt as though we stood there for minutes before I finally built up the courage to say something. You don't say. Giving him my only wary smile. I was finally able to yank my wrist from his grasp, only to be met with a charcoal ring with a small crimson symbol sitting on the middle where his hand previously held. Before I could even look back up, he had already turned on his feet, making his way out of the store, moving out of my line of sight. Without a moment to think, I collapsed on the chair. My breathing felt haggard as I tried to steady myself from what the hell I just experienced. After a moment, I checked my phone for the time. It read 2:40. 2 minutes? I screamed in my head. How the hell could it have just been 2 minutes? Lowering my head, I decided to surrender myself to the weirdness and tried to brush it back into my mind to finish my shift, but I wasn't so lucky. 3:08 a.m. I was in the back room looking for some stock to put out as the ding rang out from the front. Flinching, I couldn't help but to think back to that man. Was he back? Sighing as I accepted my fate, I walked out to the front. What awaited me, however, wasn't what I expected. I'm not sure what it was either. It looked like a tall man, around 6'5". He was dressed in a long black trench coat, with a hood thrown over his head. I tried to look into his face, but all I was met with was a deep, dark abyss. It felt as if I was looking at nothing at all. Whatever it was, it quickly made its way to the register and placed a thin white slip of paper on the counter before leaving as quickly as it arrived. However weary I was of the contents of this note, I couldn't help the curiosity sprouting in my brain, so I opened it. The note contained only 2 words written in soft cursive. You passed. Passed? Passed what? Staring down at the paper, I didn't understand what it meant. Did I pass some type of challenge? Maybe a game? I honestly didn't know. That's when the familiar ring at the front door gave me a slight heart attack. Landon, how's it going, bro? It was Tyler, my best friend, who I just about wanted to strangle to death for the scare he just gave me. After calming down, I explained what just happened, and I could tell he didn't believe me. Okay, man, how about I stay with you for the rest of your shift so you don't see any more spooky ghosts? Laughing as he finished, I took him up on the offer, and the night flew by without anything else happening. When the opener finally came in, I quickly gathered my stuff before making my way toward the door. However, he stopped me before I made it out. Oh yeah, be careful on your way home. Apparently some dude crashed into a ditch last night. You never know what kind of people are on the road. I went pale, slowly turning back towards him and cleared my throat. You wouldn't know what kind of car the guy was driving, would you? Seconds passed like minutes as I could see him thinking. Yeah, I think they were saying a big pickup truck or something like that. I could feel sweat falling down my face after hearing that, nodding. I made my way to my car and rushed home. I've been home ever since, still trying to wrap my head around everything that occurred last night. Even while writing this, the burn mark is still sat on my wrist, reminding me of what happened. As I've been dwelling on everything, the mark reminds me more and more of some type of branding. Nothing less. I have work again tonight, and after that, I'm not game to just sit idly by and just wait for whatever's going on at the gas station to come and get me. I'm gonna go in a little early tonight and ask the guy who's closing if he's ever seen anything out of the ordinary. I'm hoping he may have some insight for me. If you have any idea what might happen, please let me know. I'll hopefully come back and be able to give closure to this whole ordeal. However, if I don't, assume the worst. And that was, I don't think the gas station I work at is normal. Yeah, it seems like now after getting through it that it may have been a ghost that was on repeat. Paranormal people say that's a possibility with ghosts. They almost get trapped in the same loop, which would kind of make sense what has happened to him. So maybe the guy wrecked his truck after the first time, and then he was stuck in that repetitive loop coming back to him. He has it set up for a part 2 for sure, or at least updates, and I'll keep you updated on that. I appreciate each and every one of you. I am the Meekrin Masochist. Farewell.